Hi guys, welcome back to the next tutorial in which we're going to rig the pants that we just resized in the previous one. In the very first tutorial, I told you that it's very important to have a single layer to rig to not run into many issues. These pants here are almost single layer. The only thing that is doubled is the bottom part. You can see where the line actually is a little bit thicker. So here, this part is double layer, and in my UVs, I actually UV'd that part as well, so it's connected, and only the waistband here is double layer. This part in pants, you really should try to keep single layer, because otherwise you're going to have big troubles to rig and also to fit it perfectly. So better to keep it single. Now, since my details are only the buttons up here, and this place or this part of the vertices are really copy-paste from the basic kit, there won't be anything to change. I will leave those on. Otherwise, you would take a single layer without any kind of details on it. So in this case, we can use the pants as they are. I'm going to bind them to the skeleton first, so I will select the pants and the skeleton pelvic bone. As I explained last time, I'm using the bento skeleton, but I deleted the face, the wings, and the tailbones because Second Life will not let us import the weights if all bones will be selected, or you can bind to the specific bones you need. I prefer this way, but that's just really personal preference. We go to our rigging menu and hit bind skin. I'm going to show you once more the settings I use for the interactive bind: to joint hierarchy, closest distance, and classic linear, max influence to 4. Then we bind skin, bring back the hourglass shape, select the body, select the pants, and then we hit skin and copy skin weights. Again, here I'm showing you the settings I use: closest point on surface, and hit copy. So now the main thing is already done, but what you can see here, this is what you're going to run into when you do pants, and it's much easier if that would have been already at a 10-degree angle. You probably would not have to do this, but it's an issue that appears to be an more often thing, so I'm going to try to show you what to do. Important for your pants to have good UVs so you can actually select the vertices you need from here. When we go in there, you see that it will select also the vertices that are stuck on the other side. And we will go bit by bit. We'll start with the pelvis area first. Therefore, I'm going to hide the skeleton for now because it's not going to let me select the vertices otherwise. And I want this area around here. Don't pull them. This area to be selected, but I want all vertices, also the ones that are sticking in the other side. And it's much easier to be doing this on the UV map. So I'm going to go from here, and maybe this area. I will need the very middle for now. This looks already good. Maybe I will select a few here to have this more smooth. Here we have a little bit too much, so we can deselect here. Okay, this looks already pretty good. And now we right click and go to Paint Skin Weights Tools. Again, the vertices are gone, hit Z. And then it will bring, sometimes you have to hit it twice. I don't know why mine is doing that, but sometimes it happens. And we're in paint mode already. If you hold the B key, you can scroll and actually make the brush size smaller. It's still set to the big size from the scale of the Maitreya body. This is why we have to make it smaller here. And now we go again bit by bit. Since we selected only some vertices, we could use the flood tool again to smooth things out that will affect only the area that is selected. So we're set to smooth already, and I will flood once here only, because I want this area actually to be pretty sharp still. Maybe that was even too much. We're going to go back. I will leave this as is, because for the pants, you really want it to have body tight. It's not a skirt, so it has to stick close to the leg. Let's see how the other weights look. Here in the hip, we definitely need to bring the vertices back. So we can start flooding here. You can't see that much yet because the vertices are being pulled from this side. You will see when we'll do the other, it's going to be more clear. Here one is already coming. And then the upper leg, I'll flood this as well. Bring them back. Now, this side should be affected only by the left leg, but obviously it's affected by the right one too. This is why the vertices are pulled to the other side. And when we go to the upper leg on the right side, we're going to replace this weight with a value of 0, because we don't want any weight on this side influencing it from the right leg. So since we put it to 0, we can flood now, and you saw like in between the vertices jump back. We're going to do the same for the right hip and flood this, bring them back to 0. Now this leg actually looks already good. It's hard to see because the other leg still pulls in the area, so we're going to make this side first, then it's going to be easier to understand what's going to happen down here. So I'm back to object mode, and we're hitting the vertices on, or selecting the vertices on the other side. Back to the UV editor. This shows me the area or the leg, so I don't get confused in my UV map where I am, and select the area around this. This won't be too much already. A little bit lower than this. Okay, now you see vertices on this side, but these vertices that are selected here and highlighted are actually from this leg. They're over there because the weights are influencing. This is what we're going to pull back. And you will be never able to, like if you try to select them from here, you won't be able to tell which vertex is from which side. So selecting vertices from here is a bit almost impossible to get them clear. This is why I'm doing this with the UV map. Now we deselect the ones we don't want. That's already good. Okay, and now we're going to do the same. Yeah, I want a little bit more. Going to do the same what we did before. Going back to paint mode. And we're going to start with the right hip in this case, because first you want to bring the weight onto the vertices so it's smooth already. Otherwise it's going to drop down without any weights if you're going to start from the other side. So you start on the side that you selected. We selected the right, so we start on the right side. The value is set to 0, but this doesn't matter because we're going to smooth now. And then we flood a couple of times, just for now. And we flood with the upper leg, and you see the vertices coming back already. They will need more weights than this, but this is now, at least you get an idea where we're going. And now we can go back to the left hip, click replace, make sure value is set to 0, and flood. You see the weights, it's turning black, means the weights are gone. Same we're going to do for the upper leg, and flood. So here this looks already pretty good. The crotch is not nice yet, but this we will adjust. Now I'm going back to object mode so we don't have the vertices here. Let's do the bottom first, and then we can go into the fine adjustments. Again, here we need the, for some reason it looks like it took the vertices only from one leg. We'll check this. We go to the UV editor and select the vertices in the knee area, around so, a bit higher. That's pretty good. Already too much. Then I can clear the row by deselecting the whole row, so it's going to be more even. Deselecting this. This is too much too. This all should stay exactly like it was copied, so we don't want to change this part. Okay. Back to paint mode. And we are on the right leg, so we start with the right first. Smooth the hip. There's not much hip here going on because we're already low. We have the upper leg that needs to be smooth a little bit. We will have lower leg weights here, so you just have to go through and see what is affected. There is no ankle weight there. Okay. And now from the other side, those need to go back to 0 because we don't want any influence there. Hip goes back to 0 and the lower leg goes back to 0. And here we go. So it jumped all in place. And now we can do the fine adjustments. So now we're just going to paint, and this we can do by hand. We're going to look through this. This actually looks very good. I don't have to do much here. Here you can see that the upper leg in this area is still a little bit orange, so the more weight, the darker it gets, and the more into the red area it goes. So this part has a little bit less than here. You could just smooth that a little bit manually. It will bring a little bit more of the red in here. It's really not a lot. In the lower leg, I think it was, yeah, here we can actually take some away. I'm going to hit replace, also with 0, and if I'm going to paint over that area, it's going to take away that way. Just be careful, don't do it too much, and always smooth a little bit after you took something away. The rest we're leaving for now. Let's see, up here you can see a bigger change because that was the part that was overlapping and snapped back. So here we're actually going to paint weights in, because for the leg, you see it should be like a ring, a green ring that turns into light yellow and then comes back into the red. This is how the weights actually transform here. So we're going to add this area. Here we said add, and I usually keep the value pretty low so it adds on top of each other. Otherwise it's going to be too strong. You have a better control if it's not set too much too high. So we're going to add in a little bit of weight here. Like so. Again, we're going to smooth. And we check the hip. The hip we just can smooth a little bit. That looks fine to me. Maybe a little bit here. Again, rigging just takes experience and trial and error. You will realize the more you do it, the faster you get, and also you will see already how the weights are showing if that is actually going to work or not. So here we're going to paint some weights into. This is really just to get a rough idea of how it's working. Here something is poking through, so we actually put too much weight on here already. Maybe I can put a little bit more, but now when we're going to smooth, most likely will come out. If not, we're going to take weight away. It doesn't, so it was too much here. I'm going to take a little bit out and smooth this again. See the hip, just in case. So everything is covered. Now what we don't like is the part here in the crotch. We'll smooth this part out. Let's see what's going on here. Here you probably have to just smooth over every weight that is affecting that area. And then we have the left side. But you already can see how the vertices are getting more even. It really just takes time. I mean, this is the reason why many creators, which I can totally understand, stick with one size only, because rigging for every single size is really, really time consuming. Not only the rigging itself, but just the resizing already. And doing that for a couple of sizes just really, yeah, it takes time. So now this looks already pretty good. Smooth a little bit here. Okay, so this actually doesn't look bad. And now we can bring back the skeleton and set this back to 0. This looks pretty good. Now let's check the knees, how this works. That looks good too. Well, they're not going to go this way, obviously, but here it actually folds nicely. So we can bring the rotation back to 0. We can check the hip again. This looks good, see? Nothing sticks anymore anywhere. And then we check the rotation to the front. So this works quite well too. We're going back to 0. Now, another important thing for pants, especially if you rig pants or if you have a design that covers the feet. For the Slink, also for the Maitreya, the feet come separately. The Belleza has the feet included on, and the weights are already basically in the same body. So when I use the ankle here, I won't have any effect on the pants because we did not have any weights copied from the feet. But I would like those pants to move with the ankles as well. So I can add those. Let's set this rotation back to 0. And what we're going to do here, let me hide the shoe. Where do I have that? Wherever it is. Going to just do it like this for now. So you have the feet under. The skeleton we won't need for this. And the weights are on the feet, so we will select the feet first, then we will shift click the pants, and then we will change to vertex mode. And now it's easier if you put on the X-ray, you can see where the feet are. And we're going to hold shift and control and select the vertices here in this area up to the ankle that we need. And to have it smooth, I will just unselect this row. And now I should have this row we're going to take fully then. Yeah, that looks good. And then we're just going to copy skin weights. First this side. I used to do it on both, but for some reason I started to get errors. So since then I'm doing this side by side. Copy skin weights with the same settings we had. And now you can already see that if let's go back to object. If I move the ankle, now my pants actually are moving too. It's not really smooth here, but we will take care of that a bit later. So back to 0, we're going to do the same for this foot. So we select the feet first, shift click select the pants, make sure the skeleton is off to select the vertices, otherwise you won't get them. Then select shift control select the vertices you need, make sure it's even. There were some that we definitely don't need. And then you copy the weight again. And if we go back to our skeleton and move the ankle, you see it's moving here too. Now the front actually moves already nicely. The side too. So the only thing that we don't like is the back. So the back we're going to smooth, and that's going to be a manual thing and pretty quick one. So what we can do is select just this area in the back. This we can do on both sides. Go back to paint weight, and then we're gonna go to the ankles. And you see this area here is a little bit edgy. So since I selected the vertices again, this is the area that I want to be affected. I will smooth those with the flood tool, like this. And then we see the lower leg doesn't even influence here. The knee does. Since we don't have any weights on this side, I can leave this selected. This is why it doesn't affect the other side. Because I'm not adding weights, I'm just smoothing where they already are. So it's not going to smooth anything without weights on it. So I'm going to smooth this. And the same on the other side. So it was the ankle that we smoothed. And the knee. This looks good. And now I can show you if we're going to go back to the skeleton. And move the ankle now. It's much smoother. It will be some kind of seam here, or it looked like I don't know, like it's breaking a little bit, but that's what you're going to have when the ankle is actually moving. And we rarely have the really broken ankle look. So, but when they walk or when they sit, this will move nicely. So it will look more realistic. So now the pants are ready to be exported. And for the export, I was asked to show my settings as well. So what I do in Maya, we can export directly to DAE file. And we will select the pants. Also, mind you, those are already a little bit older. Nowadays, I would not export such a high poly. This is nowadays, I would find that too high poly because my workflow changed a little bit over the time. And but I will explain you this in another tutorial, how to actually get this, or how to do a proper topology. So exporting, we export the selection, and I have my Maya folder sorted, and I'm going to export as a DAE. And I'll drag this inside here. So this is the settings I have. It was so long ago that I actually set anything in here, so I'm not really sure what you need. This is what was set in before. The units, the scale factor, I have 1. One thing that, yeah, I'm going to explain you that in a second, because this is important to know. And for the geometries, nothing of that is selected. So these are the settings, and I'm going to just call them Pants HG tutorial and hit export. It will take a few, and then they will be back. Now, what I wanted to explain you, since we scaled these pans down, we have the scale here of 0.01. If we're going to import them to SL, they will be already the correct size. If you would freeze transformation here and set this back to 1, you would have to change either the export settings, but since I go back and forth, I just leave them as is. And then you can actually change the scale in the texture editor before you upload them, so you don't upload the tiny pans. But in this case, since this is set to 0.01, they will upload correctly. I do get some errors here, but it's errors that it's about the animation curve that we actually can just ignore. Those animations won't affect now the pans or the way we rig them. So this is fine, and then you just can upload them to SL. The uploading I showed you last time, so again for the, well, I will show you on these how they fit so you actually can see what we've done. And I'll be back in Second Life. So here we're back in Second Life at my platform. I uploaded the pans. Now please don't mind the different skin tones I have because I have different ones saved on different bodies, so I just put the hourglass body to show you. And the pants already actually fit pretty nicely, but you still see that here inside we have a little bit of poking through depending on how the AO moves. See? There will be still, because we smooth the weights a little bit there. And now there are 2 ways to fix that. You can either pull this part out in Maya and make them a little bit wider in this area, and then copy your skin weights again. Or since this area is not transparent, what I do, if it's just that little, I will alpha that part out because it's really not much. And it's not going to be visible anywhere. And since each body nowadays allows you an auto alpha, I add those and it will alpha automatically when you will wear the item, and deselect the alpha cuts when you take it off again. So this is really, it's up to you to get the pants here that they won't clip at all. It really depends very much on the style. If you have something more baggy that covers the area here better, then it definitely will be easier. But if you have something like these kind of pants that are like really body tight, I would prefer to keep the shape as it is right now and rather alpha that part out. But this is up to you. But you can see she's moving nicely now. If we're going to try to change the shape, let's say we're going to go to the, where's the hip? Here. For example, this moves nicely. Also the leg muscles move. So all this works. And here you can see the ankle is also turning a little bit where we added the weight for the ankle. So this is about how to resize and to rig pants. And I hope it helped you a little bit, and see you in the next tutorial.